what to look for in the bullish turning point for Bitcoin here as we head into the second week of October, a very, very important time as we have been going over in time analysis. And this is going to be one of those bigger videos, probably one of those bigger videos because we've been waiting for it for quite some time. However, there are some very key price elements that we're going to be looking at today that, if met, are going to essentially confirm this as the major turning point that I think a lot of people are looking for. If you notice in the background here, as I go to my nice little teachable page, I've updated the systematic trading program. Actually, I've renamed it to the quant to the trade like a quant program, and I've actually added a lot more content into it as well. I want to really position that as like my main learning program now, because that is really what I've been doing for the past couple of years. And actually, you know what? Seeing as I have just uploaded a ton of new content to it, let's just do a fucking sale. Let's do a sale right now, a very small, a very short one, flash sale for a couple of days. We'll end it like tomorrow, and the code will be DERP. The code will be DERP. The code will be DERP in all capitals. All right, sweet. So let's start it off running over here with a revisiting of these statistics, which, again, as I promised, I will continue to bore you with until we are at least through the third week of this month. So we went over the statistical analysis of when Bitcoin October lows are likely to come in around, and we found that in general, if we're just looking at the overall average, comes in around about day number 9. However, when we do parse through that data and separate and differentiate between macro uptrends and macro downtrends, we do see that when the macro trend is to the upside, which we are seeing right now, that average actually goes down quite significantly, all the way down to 7. In fact, if we get rid of this outlier right here, which was in 2012, which was the only time that we've seen this happen in, late in the month, that number goes down to less than 4. Now, I will put it back on the board, but what does that essentially suggest to us? Well, we are on day number 7 now of the month of October, and we're certainly well past day number 4 as well. So it's more likely that we've seen the low for October than not. Now, if you want to be a little more conservative, perhaps you wait for the overall average to be hit. But again, the lows being in early October has been, a pretty common theme as you do kind of go through the data right here, even in election years, because I always get this fucking question. It's just like, dude, look at the fucking results. They're right there in front of your face. You can see it right in front of your face. But you know what? I'll go over it nonetheless anyways. And in 2016 and in 2020, the low happened on the second day of October. Again, those being election years. Well, when has the low been thus far for this month of October? Day number 2, actually. Weird. Now, 2012, we did not see that happen. Actually, very late in the month. In fact, the latest that we've ever seen on the 26th. Again, very early on in Bitcoin's history. So you might look at that as perhaps less relevant. And of course, when we're looking at Bitcoin October highs, typically happening in or around the later portion of this month, usually after week 3, typically between about the midpoint of week 3 and week 4. So have we already turned that point? I think that it's very likely. When we go into the price statistics for today, looking very much at the short term here, looking at Monday, we do see that Monday has been in favor of positive closures versus negative closures since 2024 began. In fact, one of the best days for positive closures, at 60% of all Mondays closing positively during that time, and one of the highest average returns. In fact, right now, the highest average return at 335 versus the average negative return, which was about 2.25%. So let's use that yet again for a likely range for today, as it's been working incredibly well, especially during generally low volatility times. To the upside, that would give us a nice boundary somewhere around about $65,000. And to the downside, that would give us an area of interest perhaps somewhere closer to about 61,300. So likely the range for today. If the upside does occur, and especially hits around that average, that is going to start to hit off a few other things. But before we get into that, I want to once again reference the opening chart here, as this is just a very simplistic strategy. We've spoken about this many times in the past. I haven't spoken about it in like much more recent times. So if you're new to this channel, this is like as fucking simple as it gets. It's so simple, it's so fucking simple that a herpity derp could do it. Not that you are a herpity derp, but if there are herpity derps watching, well, this one perhaps could be for you. Or, as we like to say, lobotomized morons, which I've gotten one comment. Someone was very mad about that. Look, it's just a bad attempt at humor. That's all. That's it. It's just a joke on the internet. Crazy shit. So I apologize to all the lobotomized morons out there. Anyways, looking at the not looking at the hour, but just This strategy is simply opening a long trade on Monday at the open, like quite literally at the open, 00 UTC, and then closing it on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Again, 0 UTC. Or does that make sense? Like, I mean, the time zone of 0 UTC, if that, maybe I'm fucking that up right there. This is just based off of the Monday flows. And so, I've gone through and tested that and found, well, over the full history of Bitcoin, these have produced a nice positive return. In fact, a very much positive return. Percent profitable is just over 52.5%. So it is kind of like a coin flip in terms of whether, a given Monday is going to be positive or negative. But because if we go into the performance summary, the average winning trade is significantly greater than the average losing trade, the long-term results give a net positive result. In fact, the average winning trade at 4.25%. So, looking at it right here, this one obviously opened up because we've already seen the open for Monday, and that would be at the price point of 63,685. If Bitcoin does play out towards the average, that would put Bitcoin actually towards 66,500 bucks, which would be significant. I should add that the last couple Mondays have been losing trades, small losses, but losses nonetheless. Before that, we've seen a slew of wins. So you've been following this one. Is this one going to be a win or loss? Well, that's 52.5%. Strike rate would imply. It's basically a coin flip. So for all the other lobotomized morons out there who are like, "What the fuck, man? Stats not working again, huh?" It's like, sir, holy shit. How do you get dressed in the morning for real? I'm genuinely curious, actually. I'm not even mad. I'm just genuinely curious. These people are out there. You have to understand these people are out there on a day-to-day basis. Be very, very careful. I am also lobotomized moron as well in other ways. So I don't differentiate myself there. Anyways, moving on here and moving on in through my notes. I just want to follow up on this 5-day time frame for CME has confirmed hidden bullish divergence, also bouncing off of the neutral zone for the 5-day RSI and simultaneously reclaiming the moving average right here. So this is going to start to really look like Bitcoin is actually quote unquote ready. And again, on CME, something very critical happened that we did not actually see on spot price action yet, which is a 5-day higher low. So this higher low from early September versus the one that we saw in August. So of course, what happens after a higher low, or what would confirm a reversal after a higher low? A higher high. What essentially would be our last high? Well, this would be coming in from the July highs right here. I would even go as far to say, and just kind of give out the major bullish turning point. I do think that the second that Bitcoin trades back above, or especially closes back above our late September highs at 60 on CME, this is 67,135. I think on spot price action is significantly under that. That's probably going to do it for me. Also, 5-day Jewel pointed up yet again. So, if basically what I've been saying for like the past week now is that if you're bullish, like this should be it. This really should be it. If Bitcoin fails here, then it's going to be bad, but it's going to be bad for the blue laws, obviously. But if you are bullish, this is very likely. This is very likely what you've been waiting for the past 6 or 7 months for. Moving on from there, I wanted to update on this as well. 5-day time frame again did break that long-term regression, which had been holding in the highs since March. The March highs, again the June highs, again the August highs broke a little bit early this month. So that is an early indication of a change of behavior. Of course, we want to see follow through here, and follow through meaning, again, trading back above those September highs, which for spot price action, actually was not significantly under CME. It was about 66,500. So if you see a trade above there, especially a closure above there, that's going to look really, 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 really good for, the confirmation of reversal. In fact, I would even call this, your next higher low, essentially. That would be my confirmation for next higher low. Weekly, of course, for spot price action also did close above the 5 exponential, and you can see that weekly stochastic momentum is going to continue to the upside here, and the pivot has actually moved significantly southwards, which is usually a good sign for continuing, in this case, the upside direction. The new pivot is $55,000 and change, so barring any sort of like massively nasty red dildo party between now and the end of the week, it does look like, that probably continues up. So again, I think the timing now is starting to be really right with all these stats in mind and all of these setups over here in mind as well. Also, I believe that the HPDRO on the 5-day time frame does corroborate these results as well. Basically, the top side of the 38.2 level is essentially coming in on a closing basis right around the last highs from late September, which was about $65,000. So if you do see a closure above there, which by the way is not happening anytime soon because we just got one last night, it'll be on Friday. Above $65,000. Again, another good indication that Bitcoin is going to pull in the reversal here. A nice bot action in the background. Good bot slave. Keep on opening those trades because right now is the time to do that. Hey, get the fuck off my face. I guess you actually can't even see that in the background, but in case you heard that noise. Do I have my sound on? Oh, I don't have my desktop audio on. Okay, cool. All right. Anyways, let's see. What else do we have? Yeah. So as far as also just go here, HPDRO, again, trending in the positive direction. More importantly, we're seeing that alongside HPDRV, representing volatility, starting to really expand from extreme lows, the same extreme lows that we've seen on the last few major moves. So again, volatility is direction neutral, but HPDRO is direction dependent. So in this case, again, that would be favoring the upside, or at least a test towards there. I suspect that we will probably at minimum get a test towards the 38.2 level, which is $65,000. And then if there is going to be rejection, that would be the fucking place to do it. If there really is going to be rejection and Bitcoin comes down significantly, I guess later this month and into November, that's where you'd expect it to be. But I suspect that this next try is going to be like really the try. So, always have to hold your breath and wait for confirmations. But in this case, it's right there. And so, again, putting all the different moving parts in the background together, if there is going to be a legitimate breakout to the upside and a legitimate reversal, I do think that this is the right time and the right move on this current one. That's just my opinion. I can very much be wrong on that. Anyways, and then also the 5-day setup, which we did see one fire off early September, closed late September. That was the trade from $57,000 to $61,000. Has opened yet again with this last 5-day closure above that 5 exponential. Again, long-term results going back to 2018. Do have a just over 41% strike rate. But of course, we're most interested in the average winning trade, which is actually quite significant at almost 30%. The average amount of bars in trades is for the winning trades, I should add, is again 10. So that would be 50 days on a 5-day time frame. And potentially, if it does head towards the average, 30%. Of course, there's a lot of variance in this. I've also got some questions about this as well. Again, whenever you're looking at averages, there's going to be variance in that. Yes, sometimes it'll be much less. In fact, this last one that we saw over here was not that humongous of a trade. It was a 6% trade from open to close. Obviously, it did trade higher than that at one point, but when we're going off of average, it's going to be including some of the outliers as well. That's fine. It's included in the data set. The main thing with this setup is that if you are looking at this setup or you're paying attention to it, is that basically all major trending moves begin with a closure above the 5 exponential and typically end by closing below. But it doesn't mean that every time that happens, it's going to be a major move. That's essentially the picture that I'm painting here. But for example, the last major one that we saw was basically the breakout from $43,000, closing close to $70,000. And then of course, when, price consolidates like this, it's going to be a lot smaller. It's going to be some wins, it's going to be some losses. That is what statistics show us. Fucking crazy stuff, man. All right. That's going to do it for me on this nice little Monday morning, the 7th day of October, a date that we've been waiting for a while. Again, nothing's guaranteed, obviously, but looking at this right here, if you see Bitcoin really trade above those September highs, and especially close above those September highs, even on a daily time frame, you're very likely going to at least see a move towards $70,000 and challenge the July highs. I would even say that that's probably going to be good enough to really confirm the reversal. You're going to see very likely volatility increase significantly on this asset, and that is going to be very much welcomed, especially compared to the last 7 months where price has been more or less in a massive compression range. So that'll do it for today. As always, I want to wish you the best of best. See how long this video was. A little bit too long maybe, but an important one, I do think, just because we've been building up to this point, and now it's like the light at the end of the tunnel is right there. No, it is still not confirmed just yet, but you can start to see all the domino pieces in the background. And like I said, just my personal opinion is that the timing would be right if you are bullish, that this is probably the move here. Doesn't mean that it's guaranteed, but that's just my opinion. And I provided the reasons why I believe that, and you can take that as you will, and or not. That's all good. All right, cool. That's going to do it for today. As always, wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.